Welcome to your sophomore year at the Tragedy Academy, where you are the teacher and we are the students. Together, we learn from past tragedy to lay the foundation for a better humanity. The only supplies you'll need: an open mind and a sense of humor. So, tilt that chair back, talk out of turn, and never raise your hand. Because this is the Tragedy Academy, and class is in session. And I'm Purist Scott.
Single culture has a different flavor, a different seasoning, a different thing that they bring to the table. And I love that, you know, you're pushing for diversity.
I always talk about this, and no disrespect to any of my friends' mothers out there if you see this, but when I'd go to their house, they'd always want to make spaghetti when I was a kid, you know?
They profiled you?
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to make me feel comfortable, I think, you know?
Oh.
And, but I was always like, you know, there's like a lot of different ethnicities around, you know, I don't care if it's Irish or there's a lot of Croatians in Cleveland. I had friends that were, you know, Slovenian and you name it, like within the white European stuff. And then all my black friends. And it was like, you know, cook what your shit is, you know, like I always wanted to try these things.
I don't want Croatian spaghetti.
Yeah, you know.
Nobody wants Croatian spaghetti.
You know?
Please make me Croatian food. That's like going to Pizza Hut and asking for sushi.
Right.
You know they're going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to help you. It's a lose-lose. I want to try cuisine from other places. So I'm with you, man.
It was out of a place of love, and they just wanted me to feel comfortable. And, you know, and I'm sure, you know, like, you know, sometimes it was good, but, you know, I ate pasta probably 6 nights a week growing up. My mom and my grandma would make sauce in huge vats and freeze it in different size containers.
It's cheap.
And yeah.
It's cheap.
$5 for
and it lasts forever.
And 99-cent boxes of pasta every night. Tasted good, and it was as cheap as you could get. And so it was that. And then, you know, every now and then we'd go out, but never ate fast food, hardly ever. It was a treat. And, you know, crazy enough, because it was probably more expensive than the shit we were eating. You know?
Exactly. Way more expensive because I remember getting the generic boxes of mac and cheese with the powder in it, or we shopped at something called the Denton Bent. Right? I don't know if you had it this way, but the Denton Bent was a store or a warehouse thing where they would take all the food from the grocery stores that were banged up, no labels or whatever, and they dump them in these just giant boxes, and you'd be like, this is beefaroni. Yeah. This is green beans. And every fucking time they'd have like a big old box of them, and you'd go up there and they wouldn't have labels on them, or they're only ones left in the bottom of it would be no labels, but it says it's SpaghettiOs and meatballs.
Yeah,
and you're excited. Nope. Don't ever believe the non-labeled can, because every time you get home and open that bitch, it's beets. Yeah. It's asparagus. It's some other nasty, like, it's the stuff that people give out for like food drives from the back of their pantry. Yeah. That's the shit that there's in there.
Yeah, I've definitely been down that road with the Stouffer's factory in Cleveland and all the you know, the microwave meals, and it was the same thing. Mislabeled boxes, half full. They were like a quarter. You know, anybody in Cleveland in the 80s probably had a freezer full of 99-cent quarters.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, those are a little mystery too. Is it going to be full? Is it going to be half full? Is it really going to be mac and cheese? So we had to
like, it's like a half chicken a la king and half mac and cheese.
This might not be one. Mom's looking out. Who's that one?
You could probably relate to this then. Did you have to shop at like the outlet stores? Where back then they weren't like the place you went to get cheap prices. They were the place that you went to get and try to find the one item on the rack that didn't have the most imperfections in it from whatever it came from.
We had, I forget the name of them, but we had those, and it would just be like no zipper on the pants, or the button things didn't line up, or one sleeve's this long and one's this long.
Yes, we had a Bugle Boy outlet where I lived. And I swear to God, dude, everything you pulled out of those shelves, there was like a zipper where the pocket was supposed to be. And my mom would be like jerking on my pockets to like turn the pants. It's fine. It's not that far off. This is all you can get. And I'm like, but Ma, it looks like I can grab my junk through the pocket hole in the front.
Oh, just in underwear, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Poor kid problems.
It's good stories, builds character. You know,
It does build character.
If you could have everything you want all your life, then that becomes a problem. I work with people like that, that want everything and they don't really realize, oh, budget works that much. And you're like, hey, like I want everything too. But at the end of the day, like you're only giving me this amount of money. I can't give you this amount of product for this amount of money. We could get as close as we can and do the best we can and do what we can. But at the end of the day, you want something that, they always give examples of 10 million, 20, 30, $40 million shows on TV and give you $86 and say, oh, we make it look like this. I'm like, nope, we can't. For 4 seconds.
I got some sock puppets, asshole. That's what you're getting.
You get that. And when it's your own projects, like that's the cool part because that's the challenge is to make it look like that for the $86.
See, I kind of like that. I feel like there's some fun in cutting out that big budget to get something that's just as badass, if not better.
Yeah, for one thing, when you're doing a guerrilla style, you don't have to follow the rules. So permits and everything, and insurance and workman's comp and all the overhead that comes with the big production. If it's you and your guy that's with the camera and you guys just pop up somewhere and shoot something, and depending on where you plan on delivering that, it's a whole red tape and bureaucracy takes up half, if not more, right off the top before you even start trying to figure out how you're going to make something.
That's a great point, man. The way that I feel like you can film anything anywhere now. Actually, the generation before us, or even before or after millennials, they're like fucking combat correspondents. Everything that happens, like I remember when shit hit the fan back in the day when you were kids, as long as it wasn't a fight, everybody scattered. Right? That was the thing that you did when something happened. These fuckers all go straight to the pockets and bring up their phones and record it. Tornado coming at them.
Yeah, tornadoes.
They're just standing there. Like, we're all for a million likes on fucking TikTok.
Yeah, if that existed when I was growing up, you would have never met me because I would have been somewhere else, not as good. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. No.
I wish I had more pictures of me as a kid with my friends because I had a lot of family stuff, but nothing with my friends. But for the most part, we were up to no good. So it's probably good it doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah, dude. If there would have been phones, or, camera phones during like the heyday, no way. I would have been in so much trouble. Thank God we avoided that.
Things are much different now with, it's good and bad with everything being recorded. It's, you're able to dissect things and take things out of context and you force people to act on every little tiny thing when, people didn't used to sweat the small shit. It was, but now it's like, boom, here it is. And if you don't do something, we're going to put it all over the place and try to,
That's that onus on creators. If you're going to create things, you can't be creating things to, manipulate the mind or manipulate, how people live their lives, because we have to really, really, really be careful with how we roll out media and information, not just to the younger generations, but to our elders, because our elders don't have the same platform with which to interpret from. And we got to respect that and not be, I understand why it's being done. That's the deepest pocket. It's the largest 401k. But at the end of the day, it's predatory as fuck because these people don't know what the hell they're seeing. They have no clue.
No, yeah. And it's, I know you don't like to get too political, and neither do I, but
no, and you don't even have to.
On both sides, like it's who are we selling the ad space to? What demographic are we trying to hit? What do they want to hear? We'll just pump it at them 24 hours a day, left, right, whatever. And it's just like, boom, it's going to be how, infographic.
They're mapping your mind.
Yeah. And it's, it's all done on purpose, catch attention, keep attention. And the amount of time they spend showing each story and what the ticker does and the narrative they're both trying to push and who's, it's all, but you're right. Older people that watch the same news channel every single day for their whole life for 10, 12, 15 years in a row, and they stare at it every day for an hour or two or whatever. And that's where they get all of their information. It's going to be really hard for you to tell them something else is going on out there.
Suddenly you hand them a smartphone because you understand, especially when you grow up without money, so you don't have the computer first.
Right.
You don't get the computer first. You go straight to phone because that is a luxury to have a computer in your home when you didn't have money then.
Right.
So these people went from 0 to 100 miles an hour, and they went from a picture is worth 1,000 words to now everything's a lie. and they can't interpret between the two. Photoshop is not something they can comprehend.
No, not at all. And, you know, the echo chambers that everybody are in, and then their Facebook, especially, you know, luckily I have friends from all over the place, and that applies to online too. But, you know, like my mother or cousins or people that have never left a certain area, like most of their friends and family are from that area. And for good or for bad, like that's the information they're seeing every day. So, you know, if you're from the bottom of Alabama and all your friends or family are there, and if you're from San Francisco and all your friends or family are there, like you're only going to be seeing half the story, really, if
that's your reality.
Right.
That's your reality. If you come from, see, I'm gonna show you three channels. I used to be the kid that got told to go outside and turn the antenna so you could get the second or third one.
Right.
Doesn't that suck? You remember that?
Yeah. I mean, it's when I right before Trump got elected, and I was location scouting in Kentucky, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Southern Ohio, and North Texas. And you know, it was just me and this other kid, Cameron. He was the president of the Young Republicans Club at OU at the time. And I'm a pretty liberal guy, so we had some healthy debates, but we were in all these places that were very, very red, very red. And, you know, my friends from California and everything, obviously in a more liberal spot where Hillary's going to win, like 0% chance. Like it's done and done and done, you know, whatever the case is going to be. You know, and I'm like, I don't think so. And they're like, thought I was wrong. And I'm like, I'm seeing something you're not. Maybe, you know, but I'm seeing like a lot of very motivated people, signs everywhere, like, you know, and it was all through like October, like going right into the election. I got home 2 days before, you know, the election, back to Oklahoma where I was working permanently. So all the information was one thing.
It was a very, very, very massive manipulation of minds. And, you know, again, not a politics show. So if we were to look at this, you could do this with any advertisement, any rollout of any piece of technology. Apple does this once a year with a, you know, it's a ability to, it's kind of like when you're getting hypnotized, right? And they put the little watch up there, the old school, and it goes back and forth. But what people don't see is you're catching a right hook from the opposite side while you're staring at that stupid watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole game. It's meant to be that way. It's like advertisers, but whatever I'm trying to sell, however I'm trying to get you, whether it's a viewer or to buy my shirt or to buy this, that, or the other thing, it's all, you know.
What's not a manipulation? I mean, if you get down to it, what's not?
Yeah.
I mean, everything that we do has no actual payoff anyway. We are the ones that set what success or what, you know, is what we can monetize, and whether that, you know, money is something that's meaningful to us or whatever it might be. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just toiling for time,
right?
You know, or maybe just hanging out so we don't have that great conversation about why do we die? I mean, that's the end all be all to it. So it's just a matter of whether or not you do something constructive.
Right. You know, and some people are okay with working for the weekend, and if you're able to really enjoy those weekends and spend that time well, and like, you know, I don't think that's a bad way to live either. It's the people that work for the weekend and then go to the second job all weekend and start over, and they do that forever, and they can never, you know, and maybe they got a little bit of scratch left to get a trailer when they're 65 and hit the Grand Canyon once, you know, or, you know, make it down to Florida. You know, it's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. And I've been blessed to be in a position and get into a business in which I could excel enough that, you know, that's not what I'm going to end up like. Hopefully, I'm able to now.
No, I sincerely doubt that.
But the work's an addiction too. So it's a problem. So right now I'm trying to take the time off and enjoy the now, as opposed to, you know, like really go hard and then like have this early retirement. Because I'll never retire because I do enjoy this a lot. So, you know, you never know.
Well, they say, you know, do what you love so it's not work, right? So, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, how can you not love what you're doing? I mean, you're dude, your resume says everything that every young man would wanted to have done coming up. You got to work in all these areas in all these different, with these great, you know, companies, the UFC, Playboy. Ah, man, you worked with Playboy. That's kind of cool.
I've been pretty lucky, for sure. I have, you know, a million friends in this business that end up working on a lot of shows they really hate. Like The Bachelor or dating shows, stuff they're just not into. And they're fun and creative, and they're good shows to work on, but it's not something that you love or that's, super interesting. And, I followed the DA around in Newark and Detroit, going on full raids and everything for a year. And I've worked in Malibu at, a mansion, Playboy mansion, for some time. And, I've had some shit jobs too mixed in, don't get me wrong, where they're just like, oh, I just watching the clock. And especially post-production jobs, anything in an office, like, it's the worst thing for me. I've been offered huge promotions and a lot of money, and I'm like, I gotta, like, in an office, like, but no, not gonna do that. I can't do that. That's death to me. Like, I've never been able to sit still.
Kudos to you for recognizing that, because that's a huge, that's bait, man. That's bait for the machine. And they don't tell you, you will sell your soul if you land in that machine. You'll think your definition will be success according to society. But nobody tells you, man, those middle-aged homes are held together with fucking duct tape and string and everything in between, because they're not happy in there.
Yeah.
Because you have to toil just to fucking put a picture on your wall.
I wouldn't do good at that anyways. The faith that people had in me to take on a role like that, I just know myself. And I've been really good at it at the beginning when I was just fighting it. And eventually it would just, it's not me. I like to be out and doing things and meeting people and making things and being in the shit. And, no matter how, big I get, I'm carrying the gear and I'm carrying the case. I'm setting up shit. I'm part of the team. Sometimes I can't because I have to do, quote unquote suit stuff. I have one suit. I have no idea where it's at, by the way. And I
don't blame you. Suits are the stupidest construct that humans could have ever created. What in the fuck is that for?
Yeah.
Does it accomplish anything in any situation?
No. And I'll tell you a funny thing about this whole pandemic and the Zoom shit too. When it first started and we started doing these Zooms, I would sit on this is my couch and I would have a nice button-up shirt on. And so it's like 40 other guys. Fucking ridiculous. No pants on, button-up shirt,
No. And you were Porky Pig in it?
Yeah, but it was ridiculous, and it slowly, and I was mostly dealing with a lot of ESPN guys, and these are sports dudes, but that have rose to a very high level in production and everything. And little by little went from like, kind of a dress shirt to a 3-button to an Under Armour hoodie, a t-shirt to, a couple months in, and we're just sitting like this and just regular t-shirts. Like everybody had like their framed up shot and like their books in the background, or like we're in my office. All of a sudden they're in their kitchen and their kids are running back from lacrosse practice and whatever. And,
yep.
I'm like in my car.
Like I hear the baby. I hear the baby. Scott, you want to just call me back in about 10 minutes?
Dogs everywhere, like, oh, let me see your dog, and from like, so serious. So what are we going to do? And what the fuck? And we got to like still be like professional to, hey, we could be professional in a t-shirt. Like it's ridiculous to go to my room right now and put on a shirt to stare at a TV. It's like
it's fucking so stupid.
A couple times you're like, what are we doing? Like we look like idiots.
It is, but humans, it's hard for humans to break habits.
It is, and it sucks because on conference calls I used to be able to do a lot of work, because it's like 10 people and it doesn't all pertain to you, and I'm emailing and I'm doing these things, and now you got to stare at me the whole time. And then like we'll get off of Zoom and then I'll get like an email like, hey, were you able to do A, B, and C? I'm like, you were looking at me for the last 2 hours. When would I have done that? Like, so.
You forced me to be on camera,
yeah,
so
exactly.
There you go.
I've taken conference calls from places I will not even tell you. But now it's like, I would, even like look down at my phone, like I feel like I'm being rude, but like it's something that's for you that I'm trying to get done. And, and it's like navigating that whole thing has changed.
There's etiquette in that. It's super weird. But I will tell you, I would not want to be the guy in the corporate world, because there is a group of HR people out there right now that are all looking at these office buildings, right? That their companies are paying all this money for. These companies want their people to go use this real estate because they paid for it. And they're going to try to convince all of America that they need to take off their sweatpants and go back to the office just so they can be looked at or they can see each other. Oh, that ain't going to be fun.
I think it'll be 50-50 because, real estate's booming right now. And if I'm in business owner and I could sell that piece of property for a shit ton of profit right now. And
that's a good point.
And, it sucks because a lot of jobs will be lost, but the maintenance guy and the guy that cuts the grass and the lady in the cafeteria And, all these people that just kind of keep the ship going, all of a sudden everybody, if they're working at call centers or customer service or whatever the case may be, my brother's an accountant, like he doesn't have to go back.
Do that
He
at
just
home.
4 of his guys on the Zoom and they're just accounting all day. They're in different cubicles all day. Anyway,
I like that. What I know it's accounting, but it sounds funny when it's used as a verb for someone's entire thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I just imagine all of them sitting together, just hammering on calculators.
It's pretty much. And then they have like their noon meeting and the meeting at the end of the day, which could easily be accomplished on a Zoom. So it's like, why do it's rough. And all these companies just lost so much money, for the most part. They've been down for almost 2 years. They have to recoup it. So there's going to be the force them to go back people who are like real pissed. And then there's going to be like the other side where there is no go back. And it's, I think
that's so true.
Yeah, it's going to be weird because I think this was going this way, but this just like hit the accelerator.
You hit it on the head because, companies have been nickeling and diming these, these processes where they can, weed out a little bit here, a little bit there, but there's no reason for that real estate footprint. They've just been justifying it for a long time. But at the same time, we say that, you get rid of jobs here and that kind of thing, but a liquid workforce, or a larger, pool of candidates to pull from in a remote situation, pretty fucking ideal, especially for creatives and things like that. So but like you said, Johnny, every day that's outside, sweeping up and that kind of stuff is going to lose his job. And we're requiring them to have the income to survive way above even that. So we've got to, I don't know. How do we solve that issue on this show? Can we do that in the last couple minutes? I don't think so,
but I think it's shifting. And the worst thing people could do is fight against it. When I was in the record business in the late 90s, early 2000s is when music went online and the corporations were fighting against it tooth and nail. And I worked for a chain of record stores and I worked for a record company kind of simultaneously. And they were spending all their money to fight LimeWire and Napster, millions upon millions of dollars. And yet these old white suit executives that knew nothing about kids and like people are going to want a CD forever. And we're like, got 1,000 songs in my pocket. I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me. All my shit's scratched up. I got to buy the same Wu-Tang CD 400 times in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're like, I don't know. It sounds pretty good. And then they fought it instead of spending the money in innovation and getting out ahead of it. And then boom, Apple swooped in and put it online first. And all the brick and mortar stores went out of business. Record companies folded. They all had to merge together and like try to figure out how they're going to monetize this now. Instead of like controlling it or being part of the evolution, they fought it and then they got fucked. And TV's happening like that now too. Cable fought it.
Blockbuster, Netflix, right. And all these other ones. Yeah, no, you're right. The one thing that comes to mind when you brought this up was what is it? Dirk Diggler. What was the movie with Mark Wahlberg? It's
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. When Burt Reynolds is trying to hold on to the film aspect of porn and he's like, and everybody wants him to go to VHS and he's freaking out and then trying to hold on to his old reel-to-reels.
Yeah, and the porn industry selected VHS over Beta and that killed Beta. And they decided not to go to Laserdisc because they thought it was too high definition and some of their stars wouldn't look that good on screen. So that killed Laserdisc.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but there's some things in high def that are just not
porn is
not
like
cool.
Changed the game a lot of different ways throughout the years and how entertainment's gone. Yeah,
I don't kink shame. I don't job shame. I think that if it is what you want to do with your life, if it's your calling, fuck yeah, go do it. Rock on. But I like the fact that they went with, there's things like OnlyFans now and stuff like that. So that, people aren't being quote unquote taken advantage of any worse than they were or whatever it might be.
Right. That's exactly right.
Adapt and overcome.
Yeah. And that's gone to a lot of different things like OnlyFans and Patreon and that kind of stuff went from like more adult stuff to now yoga instructors and personal trainers and chefs. And, I read something during the pandemic about a chef from Olive Garden from Minnesota. It was a kind of good looking dude. Got laid off and like just decided he's going to do an OnlyFans for a joke. And he's like, I'm the hot chef. Started making $75,000 a month.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like ridiculous amount of money. Like just caught on. Reddit did a thing about it or all these things just catch fire, and then he's just making a shitload of money. But
if I did an OnlyFans, it would be the saddest occasion.
Somebody
ever.
for everybody. That's the thing.
It would be like my mom, my cousin, and like what other person? No, not a porn one. Like just a guy standing there doing
right marketing. It's like it works because there's an audience for everybody. I've found that, and just like your podcast, it's like same fans there. As you grow, like they'll pay, and just like online personal trainers, they get a few. They start a podcast. Like once it grows, and then a little something extra, like they'll pay, and they'd rather pay you $5 a month because they get to know you, and than paying like another Netflix type company or whatever. I think because it's personal interaction on these, I think that separates it. Just like porn, it's like anybody could buy for free, but there's an interaction with these people. Anybody could watch, anything, but if they now get to interact and like, they're a fan of yours and you're sending a message back and there's dialogue, like that's worth money to a lot of people.
That's what I love about this whole endeavor with podcasting is that it's a community in itself. And then on top of that, it's creators at a raw level. Well, you understand. I mean, reality TV, it's a passion. It's something that you're putting together as art, and you're just hoping you're hedging your bets on yourself in these scenarios. And I feel like the ones that are successful are the ones that are creating from a place of passion and not from a place of, trying to fill a gap or just coming up with some garbage or, hi, this is blah, blah, blah. And you've reached the whatever podcast, right. Nobody's going to latch on to that.
Yeah, I get calls all the time. People want to do podcasts, and it's exactly what you said. They're like, what can I do that's popular? Like, could I do a cooking one, or could I do this, or could I do that? And it's like, if you don't have your thing already, like, it's going to be tough. And I tell the fighters that come off The Ultimate Fighter in these shows, like, you should start your own podcast. You have fans. Millions of people have been watching you. And then you kind of disappear, and then you start fighting in the UFC or for a different organization, and then they don't get to see you that much. And I'm like, people... you'll get to see if they're interested. We have a dynamic group of guys that have all these crazy stories, and, you don't need a lot of money or a lot of that. Just get in there, tell your story, and see if people will follow you.
Hey, academics. Have you endured life's tragedies, trials, and tribulations? Did you adapt and overcome? Do you have advice for others to pay forward and want to be a guest? Then email us a brief 2 to 3 minute video to show@thetragedyacademy.com. and tell us how our academics can learn and grow from these experiences. Thanks again for your support. And now, back to class.
You didn't even get a chance to talk about this, but you brought up something. You have a company as well. You're the founder and owner of Max Glow MMA.
Right.
Because this kind of falls in that wheelhouse.
Exactly. And that's something that I started during the pandemic as well. I've been working with different athletes for years. And after the show and stuff, they have a hard time marketing themselves, and fighters are just like artists, and it takes so much dedication and brain power, and you're going in one direction that it's hard to handle, like maybe the business side. Some can, some can't, but to get your media done and get your YouTube page up and going, and figure out ways to build your fan base and get merchandise and do all these things is something that's been lacking. They all have a manager. And the managers are really great, at least the ones that I work with, at getting you fights, getting you to the next organization, organizing your contracts, getting you the most money for that. But it's hard to do the other side, the marketing, outside of the cage, outside, of the sport money. And I have some friends that were doing OnlyFans at the beginning of the pandemic, and they were doing really bad. Kept asking me to help them, and I'm like, I'm not going to film that. Like, you don't need me to. And like, I started looking at their pages, and I just saw it was a marketing issue, not a content issue so much as they don't know what they're doing, and they would market themselves in the same place every day. And I'm like, if you're going to sell vacuum cleaners, you don't walk up and down the same street every day. Like, you're going on a dating site in Las Vegas or just only on your Instagram. That's the only 2 places you're marketing yourself. You're not going to, get more. And like, that's when I started thinking about the target marketing and how to find different niches for people. And it led to the fighters, and I'm trying to kind of grow that now and just help them out.
Well, see, I like that. It seems to have like 2 different scenarios here. One, it's a company, but 2, it almost acts as a way to help people that come from different backgrounds that have worked their entire lives to create their art and be able to actually capitalize on it without being taken advantage of. I mean, for me, it would be the same as putting together a group of people that could help someone hone their own personal, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a life coach, if you will, but almost like a athlete coach that brings you into the marketing aspect, the business world side.
Right. And it's not just athletes that I like to help. It's like one of my best friends from college is a phenomenal magician, trying to help him. I have a friend from back home that's a great artist. I'm trying to help her. I have all these filmmaker friends that are doing all different things. So, what I would like to do, my dream would be to have a small piece of all these different things and able to just kind of work within the same system of marketing and promotion and do all these things, but to help them, not have to worry about getting under a big umbrella, joining a big, union or
signing away their life, not understanding what they put it in.
Exactly. Like, at the end of the day, it takes a lot of big stuff to get down to your core fan base. And, if you're putting a commercial on TV for $25 million and it runs forever, and by the time you get all the way down to the people who actually care, it's not that big. But with the internet and targeting people and seeing who likes what, and you could find your fan base like pretty quickly. And it doesn't take that many fans to give you $10 a month to carve out a really good living. But to make that money selling records or being a TV star or something like that, which is A, almost impossible, but B, you got to make
that's a 0.0001% chance of that. So we've seen this over the years, the predatory things that have happened over the years with athletes not understanding certain things when they come in, or not even predatory. Cause I can speak to this. When you first start to get money and you're not from a background that gives you the skill set to be fiscally responsible or even understand what a credit score is, for God's sakes. How are you going to carve out an entire business structure out of all these different mediums that'll, capitalize off of your capabilities or your art? I mean, to me, it looks like you're giving back to what's been taking care of you for so many years.
Right. And these big companies aren't all evil. And
no, of course not.
So say the UFC, for instance, or a record company, there's so many fighters you never heard of or artists you never heard of that they take a flyer on them and they pay them for either a fight and they look terrible or records that, there's a billion records that never got released and the company's got to eat all that money. So when you're an unknown artist or a starting out fighter, they can't pay you tons and tons of money because there's no return on that yet. It's when you get there and you go up and you grow, it's when the companies have to start being like, okay, like we took a chance on you, you took a chance on us. Now we have to do what's right. But, those guys at the beginning of the day, fighting at 3:30 in an empty arena, and it's not even on TV yet. The companies are losing money by flying that guy in his camp there and paying for all his medicals. And
totally agree with you. There's a price to do this business.
Right. And an album's the same way. I'm going to give you studio time to record your album and do the cover art. Back in the day, it was physical copies and they had to be shipped out. And if that shit flops, these companies are out so much money. So they got to, they have to kind of take advantage of the successful ones to pay for all the other ones to keep the machine running. But now a lot of that's just getting cut down where you could do your own thing as well. If the fighting gives you this platform, you might not be getting paid that great for the actual fighting part, but now you have a platform and you could use it for, anything, whether it's podcast, selling your t-shirts, doing online stuff, starting your own TV shows. Like you could do anything now. And, with the right team and the right effort, I think it could probably be successful at some level.
If you're doing it from a place where you're passionate about it, or if it's that particular chord, if it's plucking that one, you're gonna make it work. It's gonna happen. It's just how it breaks down. Yeah. So if any of the guys are out there listening to the podcast, you definitely want to check out Max Glow MMA. I mean, that sounds like the way to go in order to get yourself marketed well. I mean, you don't know it any better than anybody else. You've been producing for him for how long?
Yeah, about 18 years I've been working with the UFC, and some of my best friends in the world are fighters in all different parts of this game. And I see the hard work and the dedication, and, I want to help wherever I can. And, selfishly, I just love being a part of this business. It's fun. Uh, it's exciting going to the fights and seeing my friends succeed, and seeing them, start really small and become champions, and, follow that whole trajectory. And then there's the guys that don't make it, and I would like to help them, whether it's a gym or another business or whatever they're doing, set themselves up for the next move, and not kind of that, fighter mentality is I could fight forever and I could just train a little harder. I can work a little harder and I can get a little better. And that's true, but sometimes opportunities dry up, or you get hurt, or you age out of it. There's a window, and I'd like to, anytime I can, just help my friends or anybody in any of these businesses, set themselves up, and knowledge that I have and advice, like, that's always free, and I'll talk to anybody forever. And then if there's some way that I could help and we come to a mutual, agreement, I'm all for it. And I also don't like to do anything that's like exclusive. If I could work out a deal with somebody and get them a TV show or a sponsor or something like that, then we could work out an individual deal. But I'd never be like, no, you can't go work with these other people or get money over here, or sign this other deal, because, I think that's bullshit when people try to lock somebody down and then become their only source of income.
Non-competes, all sorts of stuff. That's not fair.
Yeah.
It really isn't, because you're monopolizing somebody's, their mind, their entire freedom to be able to create. I agree with you on that.
And if I'm not your only, if you're not my only client, then I can't give you 100% of my time. So why should you give me 100% back? If I have 100 or 200 clients, or
slow down, man. You're making sense.
Yeah.
Don't be making sense. That might make this a good place to go check out.
And I'm very honest, and I try my best, and some stuff works and some stuff doesn't, and I'm growing and learning all the time. So I don't have all the answers, and I try to partner with people that understand that, and then we could figure these things out together. And, patient on both ends, and trying new things is this, everything's evolving and growing, and monetizing all these different social medias and everything changes.
It's confusing, man. It's super confusing. There's so many analytics, so many different impressions here and this there. And I can't even begin to look at it. I just treat this show like art and let it just be what it is, because there's no way I could wrap my head around it.
It changes every day.
We need guys like this. We need guys like you doing these kind of things. I was just talking to somebody today about shorts on YouTube, or my barber today, because he's like, have you noticed that there's, a plunge in, views here? And I was like, well, of all my few subscribers, not really. I said, but now there's shorts, and they're trying to do this big push for TikTok-esque type videos that are under 50 seconds, same frame set. So that's where all that traffic's being driven now. And you're right, changes every fucking 10 minutes.
And they decide who sees what and how the algorithms work. And if you're not doing this, and and Instagram has different rules than Twitter, than YouTube, and you do something wrong or they don't like, and they ban you, but they might not even tell you that you're banned. And then I got people that I search and their name doesn't even come up anymore, but they still have a page, and they're like, what happened there? And it's
the Wild West, man. It is literally the Wild West. It's ridiculous. So, Gary, I appreciate you coming on today, man. This has been super cool talking with you. I want to see great things for Max Glow MMA, and definitely for Not Uranus. I want the first copy of whatever it ends up being, because I think that it's a super cool concept, and I appreciate you creating it.
Yeah, thank you. That's, I'm going to make that, whether it makes money or not, and whether it becomes or something like that. It's just,
there you go.
It's something I think is needed. And, I have a couple of friends with young kids that have already said, like, I would love to see more of things like this. And, it's something that's I'm going to enjoy. Yeah. I got to do something that I like. If it ends up making me money, great. But that's something I'm going to enjoy writing, and I'm working with some good friends on it. So something like that, if it breaks even, would be a win. If it doesn't, still a win. And, I think
you got the exclusive right here. Not Uranus, dude. I know that it's going to be a badass cartoon on like Hulu and everything else, and that's what it's going to be. Yeah, that's what I see happening.
I hope so. I just want people to try to do it. If you have stuff sitting on an old computer or a car in the garage or something you've been trying to paint or whatever, there's time. We're all busy, and we didn't need the pandemic. And now I'm trying to figure out how that time in the real normal world is working for me, but. there's time to do that. And I think it helps.
It's for the mental health. It's for overall well-being. You have to take those, your mindful moments, like we were saying earlier, you know, giving to other people when you're a creator, but you got to provide yourself with your own mindful moments. And if you can't meditate or you don't know how and things like that, create, because you are isolating yourself to one simple thing that you're doing, and you're creating it from a point of love, because that's what art is. That's why art resonates with us. When we get out there and we look at, you know, the Mona Lisa isn't beautiful. Hell no, it's stupid. It looks like the cover of a fucking, like a box of rice or something. Like, there's nothing special about it.
Right.
But you can bet the person that was painting it was special. And whatever they put into it, that's what resonates. That's why you stare at it. You stare at it because it came from that place, not because of what it looks like. So if you're creating your art, you create this show, people are going to come fucking look at it.
Yeah.
They're going to want to see it.
I agree. I think, you know, if you have a little time and you do something that you love, there's going to be people that appreciate it, whether it's at a huge level or a small level, or maybe you don't even need the appreciation, but that's going to help you in other aspects of your life. Like you said, you know, mental health is a huge thing, and people want to medicate a lot, and there's definitely need for that. And I'm no expert, but me personally, you know, I've always had little things, you know, I don't want to say I have like major mental health issues, but I have some.
Everybody does. And it's okay to say it. That's the thing. You know, I will say this. It is okay. Don't minimalize your mental health at the risk of what other people's feelings are or other situations, because what people forget is the small issue to one person can be the end of the world for somebody else. It's all based on perspective.
That's true.
So respect your mental health, man. You deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with that. And I don't want to minimize it. I just, you know, it's like a hobby.
Oh, I wasn't lecturing you.
No, but no, I do think about how to talk about these things all the time, because a lot of people, it's a hot button issue. So they're using them, you know, for sympathy or for different reasons too. So I don't want to say like I'm really struggling every day and I'm getting by it, you know, and like, because people are struggling way worse than I am. But for the problems that I have, like, I feel the best when I'm painting or drawing or even hitting the boxing bag and I'm getting outside of like the stresses of the day, and like figuring out how to turn that off just for a little bit and be present in the moment and not be on this phone and thinking about, oh shit, did I miss a call? And there were times where I would like take super quick showers because I didn't want to be in the shower for 8 minutes because like a client or somebody might call, and I was like,
what is that? You know, why do we do this?
Yeah, and that shit messed me up. That's when I started like, you know, I go one way or the other. I get fat and I just eat all the time. It's like stress eat, or like I don't eat at all. And then like, and I'm not healthy that way. And I'm not sleeping well. And then all that just, it rolls down and it's like, it's really bad. So
feeding the need, you got to feed the need. And that's what we do. We try to plug those holes that exist with the wrong things.
Right.
The need to eat needs to be satiated from a different direction.
Right.
Why is it that you are hungry is the question that has to be asked. And it can be one of many things depending on how the human mind is working at that given time. Hell, it could be the time you were pushed down when you were 5. Yep. That's why you're eating today. Nobody fucking knows.
Yep.
Nobody knows.
There's a lot of good uses for medication, but I think
there is,
again, as not an expert, I think you should try other things before, because every doctor I've ever seen was like, boom, this is what you need. Can't sleep? Here's Ambien. Oh, you're having trouble focusing? Yeah. Here's Adderall or Ritalin, or like just boom, try these. And then, oh, you know, that's making you too anxious. Well, here's a Xanax to calm you down because the Adderall had you jacked up all day. And, you know, and it's like, wait a second.
Didn't you just put me back to normal? You handed me Adderall and a Xanax. Isn't that like canceling it out?
Yeah, it's like this all day, but you're like going, and then they crash you down to sleep, and then you get these pills and fucking out of your mind. And like some people need different things for sure, but I would say like try at least to figure out some other things before, whether it's natural remedies, meditation, painting, art, writing, cycling.
I agree.
Something else to get that energy, you know.
My own doctor, she pointed out something, or she framed it in a manner where it made a lot of sense to me. And that was that medication is just a tool with which to slow down and get the opportunity to make the meaningful changes needed that caused you to be in the situation to begin with.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of like sticking a stick in the spokes, you know, long enough for you to get, you know, an idea of what's going on. And then you can pull that out and, you know, ride on your way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's a good way of looking at it because, you know, depending on how good your doctor is or their motivations or big pharma and all that, it's, you know, a lot of times they're looking to create lifelong customers, not slow it down, fix it, and move on.
It's what's kept the Eastern culture just completely out of everything in the U.S. You know, we've missed out on so many different things that are congruent to what we were already doing anyway. But it's been, you know, put into a corner, like, you know, the Blair Witch Project has to look, you know, off to the side. That's Eastern culture. That's, you know, whatever is not this particular religion. But at the end of the day, man, meditation, art, all those types of things are so good for the whole human experience.
It could be anything. You know, everybody's got different stuff they're into. It's just work, family, like all these things that stress you out. You got to have an outlet every now and then. If it's 10 minutes at the end of the day where you do something or, you know, something, you know, hopefully you could get more than that or figure out something besides just like medicating to get through it. Because, you know, even, you know, not to get too political, but the use of marijuana for all these years was looked at as the worst possible thing.
We're an advocate here. We're an advocate.
You know, is that better than Ambien for sleeping? Like in most cases, probably. You're taking this drug that make you sleepwalk and then you're, you know, addicted to it. And like, you know, try a little bit of reefer at the end of the night. And like, people forever were like, oh, it's drugs. You know, just now is it?
We were so manipulated on all these things. It falls right into the same Eastern bucket because, you know, I had somebody on, we just released a show this week and it was about 5-MeO-DMT. A friend of mine, Lucas, he had done it for the first time. And all of the things that are congruent with that experience are the same ones that are over longer periods of time in meditation with monks or cardinals in the Catholic Church that do those long-term prayers where they're away. They're all reporting the same types of feelings that you get from psilocybin, DMT, marijuana, all those things. We have to embrace plant medicine. I like that you recognize that because more and more people need to do that. We got to stop with the synthetic shit.
I mean, I've seen fighters forever and people in all kinds of sports and, you know, later on in life and they have the aches and pains and a doctor will give them Oxycontin before letting them smoke weed.
Fuck, man. That's
a prime example. You know, people on both sides, you know, support the military in different ways and everything like that. But for years, like it was suppressed, you know, things that can really help with PTSD. And it's like, you're going to send guys over there to risk their life. They're going to come back with issues and they're not even going to allow them to use the things that will help them the most because of political bullshit.
Right. Or they might pop hot on a piss test, you know, to go in and get some other medication that they normally need because they smoke some weed.
Right.
You know, which, by the way, who the hell ever went out and tried to F up the world because they were stoned? Nobody.
You know.
Zero. It's never happened in the history of anything. The only thing you're going to fuck up is a bag of Funyuns.
I was just going to say Doritos and the exact same thing.
Exactly. So, you know, and now one of the cool things is the VA, I think I saw the other day, they are working on, they're utilizing psilocybin, they're utilizing MDMA, and they're utilizing LSD and things like that in trials for PTSD and things like that. You know, police forces and all these others, all these people need these types of treatments.
You know, the fear is to go down to South America and have this crazy experience and not know what you're getting into, but they're doing the right things and studying this for the last 40 years. And, you know, modern science got involved and was able to extract these things and make it safe. And you wouldn't have to go somewhere dangerous to have that experience. And there was ways that they have figured it out, you know, like they do with every other chemical that they're, you know, pumping into us. Then it would be a different thing. And it wouldn't be scary. You know, like I'm probably not going to ever go do that. But if it was experience I could get here, and there was science and it was not looked, you know, down upon, I would.
This is where we branch off into Joe's arena, where we could say why all of these things were suppressed. You know, we could go to Joe Rogan, which is honestly, there's a lot of truth to it. I mean, to suppress the ability to free your mind in certain aspects and then to utilize it behind closed doors for the same reasons, it kind of raises some red flags.
Yeah.
I mean, these tribes, they don't stay in remote areas, not fucking with everybody else and watching us fly around like crazy ass ants in an ant farm and saying, no, we don't plan on leaving. They're doing it because they know we're insane. They're using their plant medicine. They're like, what's the point in all that? We could stay here and hang out as family members and not have to take any of this on. So I don't have diarrhea because I didn't check my fucking phone for the last 3 emails.
Yeah.
You don't get that in the tribe.
Yeah, it sucks. You know, I was in Bali years ago. One of my friends from college who's Swedish, and I was talking to people there, and it was right when like iPads and stuff were starting to get really popular. And they were noticing a shift in the kids and stuff there because you never knew what you didn't know. So they were perfectly happy and in these villages and playing soccer and didn't have sneakers, just flip flops, and the most beautiful place on the planet that all rich people from America save up and go and just want to experience this. And like, oh, you know, people end up living there and becoming yogis and like all this like shit just to like be a part of that. And like now these kids are starting to be like, what's that? Why don't I have that? There's Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere, and they're starting to see all this shit. And like, all we want to do is go over to a place like that in paradise.
It's a disease.
Fuck all this. And they're over there like looking, and now they see all the shit they don't have, and they're thinking in a different way. And it's like, it sucks.
It's a disease, man. It is a disease. It's cancer. Humanity is a cancer within itself. Because we prey upon ourselves, that's no different than any other cancer. Isn't that the definition of it? It's like a cell eating a cell from within itself or whatever it is. And that's what we're doing. We're eating each other up. We're not, dude, those poor kids that we're talking about actually were winning and got their perspective changed. They didn't, nothing but their perspective changed because nobody needs internet.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No. The food's great. The culture's great. They're growing everything locally. Everyone's happy. You know, everyone's outside on a nice night and they're talking and like, we're sitting there and, you know, my friend is a director in movies in Europe and he's very much has the same lifestyle as me. And, you know, we're just sitting there, you know, drinking a little turmeric drink in the morning and watching the kids and like, it was like you felt high almost, like a different like experience, and you're just like, yeah,
it's the nature.
Flying home was depressing as shit, you know. It's like, okay, and as soon as you get the Wi-Fi in the plane, it's like boom, boom, boom. I got to answer this. I got a meeting in 2 days. I got to call this guy. This guy's pissed because he went 1 day without hearing from me when he ducks me for 3 weeks when I need something, and you know you're getting all pissed off, and you're like, oh, you know, it's like two days ago,
right back to the stomach cramps.
Exactly. You know, 2 days ago,
within
Black Beach, sipping a juice that was 12 cents, you know, and I'm drinking a $9 fucking pop on the airplane, you know, to get home and get my ass kicked again for the next 9 months.
Isn't that crazy how, because I've been all over the world too, and you get into areas that are more remote, like you're saying, and stuff like that. And why is it that 12 cents goes so much further in other areas? How did the humans fuck that up? Like,
that we don't need, you know, and
it can literally be the same product. It could be a bottle of Coke for 12 cents and a bottle of Coke for $12. I've lived in Tokyo. It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
The amounts that things come out costing.
Yeah, but you know, in Tokyo, there's $1 trillion of infrastructure and go. And they're the only people that work more than us, you know, and we're fucking 60, 70 hours a week. And then, you know, even when we work in Europe and in Brazil and places like that, and they take a 2-hour lunch and you're getting all pissed off because, oh, these people need to call me back. And they're at a cafe somewhere sipping their fucking tea with.
They should be.
Friends. Yeah, exactly. You know, and I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, they got the life. Like, I have this deadline and I got my boss from LA, like, why isn't this done yet? And I'm like, well, these guys are at the fucking bar right now in the middle of the day, you know, and I wish I was with.
Well, you know, there's some credibility to the, you know, the amount of the complaint that companies take or monopolize more of an employee's time than they are paying them for.
Yeah.
And they're doing it simply out of manipulating your need to impress or your need to be the one that is referred to as the go-to person.
Right.
All just false carrots because they're not paying you more the whole time.
And it just goes up the ladder. You know, my boss is answering to his guy and he's working his fucking balls off 100 hours a week because he's trying to, and then he's making me do the same. And then I got assistants and people that work for me and they're at home and I'm calling them and they're at dinner with their family on a, Friday night. 'Cause this guy's calling me when I'm at dinner on a Friday night. And then, Saturday comes.
Shit rolls downhill.
Yeah, 100%. I'm supposed to go hiking with my, friend or girl at the time. And like, no, I got to fucking stay in. And then they're pissed. And, and then I'm making somebody else stay in on a Saturday because all of a sudden there's this deadline that are arbitrary or based on making a few more dollars for someone way up there that I'll never see but everybody's doing it. So it's like you have to keep up or you're done. So
that's funny. Everybody's doing it. So you have to as well. When are we going to realize that we don't have to? Have to is a definition that's being provided to us. And I'm not saying abandon life and go be that dude that's, selling Mai Tais in, some beach remote in Mexico or whatever.
Every day.
There's something to be said about that too. But I don't know. I think we've probably touched everything that we could possibly touch. And I could keep talking to you forever, man. I feel like I've known you for years.
I'm happy to come on again. And when I have more stuff going, I really enjoyed this.
You're always welcome.
I could talk for
always welcome.
We will touch on a million things. I'm all over the place for sure.
100%. So again, so anybody listening out there, you can go check out, it's Max Glow MMA, for your representation for different affiliate marketing and things like that. And then we're all going to wait for the Not Uranus. That's what I want to see.
I'm building a website and it's going to just, I don't think I'm going to ask for any crowdfunding or anything. I just want a place for people to go and they can like check the progress and maybe build a little interest for it and kind of be a part of it and get some input from people as we go to. I think will be pretty cool. And a lot of people are doing that on different Patreons and stuff. But I don't think, I want more input, more people to get involved. And I don't want to put it behind any sort of paywall on this one. So
I don't want to get paid, but I'd love to throw in some lines in here. This looks super cool.
I mean,
you got my support.
That's the best. I believe in my own abilities and I think I'm a good writer and I think I'm talented and I'm funny, but just meeting you, like I'm thinking of all different ways that we could work together within an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's been. And that's the best. It's if input from 100 people is always going to be better than me just trying to figure it out myself. And if it's one line or one thing that gets me thinking this way, and I might be, that's a terrible idea, but what if we do this? And then they're like, oh shit, that's great. And then all of a sudden it's not even anywhere close to where it started, but you have a great concept or idea. And that's the way the best things work, in my opinion.
Absolutely, man. I love when people come together and you get to mix up all the different perspectives because that's where the best shit comes from.
Yeah. That's the whole point of this thing is all different types of people coming with
100%.
different perspectives. So like to create it all on my own is, it would be counterproductive and kind of hypocritical in my opinion.
Yeah. To do a story about diversity only done by yourself would be kind of ironic.
Yeah, and I hate it when like the middle-aged white guy is the diversity guy and then has no diversity in the shit that he's trying to do ever. So I'm not going to make this thing and like tell all these perspectives from all these different people, but it's all my perspective because that doesn't make any fucking sense and it would be lame if I did it that way. So,
yeah, it'd be kind of narcissistic too.
Yeah, exactly. I want this to be, all inclusive. So I can't, I see it all the time. I get these guys, corporate guys, they have one vision, like this is what I want it to be, and want it to be diverse. I'm like, can't be diverse. It's only your idea.
It's gotta be like it's a plant. It grows, it evolves over time. It takes on new, faces and different, perspectives. It has to. If it doesn't, then it's worthless. It's a rock.
I agree. Yeah, that's why TV shows got a room full of writers, and when it's getting stale, they'll bring in new guys and from different perspectives. And Saturday Night Live's always been great.
But then Fonzie's jumping the fucking shark and everything's over.
They all jump the shark. Whether the Sopranos, they jump in, they can't figure it out. And they're like, it's just going to end right now. Or then it's like, Lost when they're like
over a bad meal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was one of the hardest things to watch.
Yeah, like what happened there? And like, I don't know if you watched Lost, but it was the same thing. It's definitely not Predatory.
Yes.
Fire all the writers, new one, it's canceled, we're back. Oh shit, we got to end it once. Yeah, it was Purgatory. We're like, fuck.
What? I remember just sitting there like, it's part of me. See, I have this love for ultimate failures. Like sometimes it's beautiful to watch them sometimes, or when somebody gets people hyped up about something and then purposely pulls the rug out at the end just because it's funny and stupid, I kind of am a fan of that too.
Yeah, I'm not against that sometimes.
What's that?
I'm not against that. That's good. If there's an art to that I do appreciate.
There is.
Yeah.
You can even do it without pissing them off if you do it correctly.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But yeah, even if you do piss them off, like people will talk about that more than if you don't most of the time.
Well, so like if you want to hammer on the show, bring it on, man. You're just going to make people talk about it.
Yep, for sure.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much, Gary.
Thank you.
I will definitely be having you back on. Remember, academics, be cool and keep learning.
All right.
Hey, academics. Thanks again for attending another class at the Tragedy Academy. You can show us some love by subscribing, downloading, and rating us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. Or ask Amazon Alexa to play the Tragedy Academy podcast. You can find links to all major podcast platforms and past episodes at thetragedyacademy.com. You can find us on all the majors of social media, on Instagram at The Tragedy Academy 2019, on TikTok at The Tragedy Academy, and on Twitter at Tragedy_Academy, where we'll post our clips of upcoming shows, updated info, and thoughts. If you'd like to be a guest, send an email to show@thetragedyacademy.com. Keep an eye out on Instagram for Tragedy Academy giveaways. Thanks again for coming to class, and remember, be cool, keep learning.